The Dynasty lorebook reveals information about the Qugu Alien species we first heard about in the Book of Sorrow. Back then we knew some info, but now these things are heavily outlined. What the Qugu looked like, how they used darkness and ancestors to command their future, and the advanced spacefaring civilization they built on their homeworld Seht. I believe Bungie brings them up in a new lorebook because they might be tied to the Echoes. Welcome Guardians, let's dive right in. Echoes are remnants of species that were obliterated by the darkness. Ikora theorizes that this was the case. Our story today begins with the Qugu species, ancient creatures that were first mentioned in the Books of Sorrow destroyed by Savathun. But as of late in the new lore book, Dynasty has 3 new lore entries that may connect them to one of the Echoes. The Qugu are cephalopod-like beings home to the planet Seht. They look kinda like an octopus and a human with tentacles and some sort of legs. Seht is dominated by a monumental mountain that looms over expansive floodplains. The planet's landscape has a unique blend of biomes with mossy patches rooted in red sands and stone. The Books of Sorrow told us this. For millions of years of evolution, the Qugu have been infected by a virus so insidious that it wrote itself into their genome. The virus compels them to offer their limbs for amputation by enormous sessile jaw beasts. They venerate these beasts and treat them as gods. The virus converts Qugu cells into eggs, from which strange crawling things pupate to live within the jaw beast's gut. In turn, the jaw beast extrudes sweet nectar for the Qugu to drink, and they have brilliant visions. In the new lore book, we see the moment a Qugu is dying on their home planet and the process of rebirth through death. Within a sunken valley at the mountain's base, a Qugu slumps, dying. Cephalopod frame atop bipedal inverted legs, cloaked in a flowing mane of tendril-like tentacles with a single forelimb reaching from their chest, life leaves the flesh and gathers again. It splinters and fractures, then melds, entwines, decomposes and gestates. A death grove awakening. 5 rise from the silt and shallow. They seed the grove anew. The Qugu have a relationship with these jaw beasts. On their planet here near the mountain and in what they call groves, they die. From that death, new Qugu rise. The Qugu die and create new life, but can still be guided by their ancestors. They share this collective consciousness, likely through the darkness where they could speak to those that have died, and the dead can offer them advice. The jaw beast and nectar help them achieve this. From the card, we learn about a specific Qugu named Tikal, a leader among this species who experiences vision of an impending doom. Tikal concentrates on the breadth of the Qugu line, listens to their voices, seeks guidance. In their deepest dreaming moments, Tikal would experience their knowledge, feel their gentle push or pull, as if all action had been building to and from their decisions. The herd surrounds them. They stride across the floodplain together. They wriggle through sea rock coves and run the paths of their evolution together. The herd halts under a starless sky. Tikal stops but a few paces out of step. So sudden is the loss of momentum and looks back, draws faces known to them forward, listens. The herd screams in silence, their mouths agape in that old extinguishing fear. Tikal turns from the line of their ancestors and looks to the starless sky. The floodplains fall away into cliff and void, the starless nothing dripping down to overtake the horizon. And there, at the pointed tip of the Qugu line, Tikal sees an end, a precipice of silence, a great yawning tear in the sky of nothing looming over the mountain. An omen, split to swallow them all. A vision of purpose, the culmination of many cycles, a pivotal step. This impending doom would soon arrive, the hive and their forces of darkness. The Hive forces completely destroy the worlds in the Seht system before turning their attention to Seht. As the vision describes, they arrive through a tear in space, deploying their tomb ships and armadas, unleashing an endless wave of destruction. The Qugu struggle to hold their home planet, but there's still a glimmer of hope. Tikal takes command of the Qugu forces, concentrating their entire fleet above the planet's defense installations to protect those sacred groves near the mountain. A Hive flagship breaches the tear, a circlet of bleached white bone shaped by death and cunning. The strange ship moves to settle high above the mountain of Seht. Tomb ships change course to buffer its advance into the atmosphere as runes of jade flame burst around them, dissolving into obfuscating smoke. Qugu planetary rail cannons open fire, shredding any tomb ships bold enough to skirt the atmosphere and position themselves between their flagship and Seht. Amidst the destruction, the Hive flagship begins amassing a singularity of soulfire at its hollow center. The Hive flagship detonates its collected soulfire without warning, sending a shockwave through its own ships, the Qugu fleet, and the planet Seht. Hundreds of ships are lost in the wave, Hive and Qugu alike, while those who remain intact struggle to repower their systems. On the surface of Seht, the mountain quakes. Great slabs of encrusted stone slough from its sides and crash into the sacred death groves below, burying the defensive installations and last few Ark ships still diligently working to save their ancestral grounds. As dust settles, the mountain shows a new face of deep black skin with carved trenches of resonating energy. A pulse blasts from the mountain's base, raising the surrounding landscape and decimating the heart of Qugu civilization. The thing the Hive had torn from the mountain groans as it slowly lifts into the sky, rising to meet the Hive flagship. Tikal wrestles order back to the fleet and reconsolidates their forces, assuming direct control of entire battle groups where necessary. The sight of Set's upended crust burns into Tikal's memory. Gaps in the fleet meet Tikal with their absence. The invasion advances toward the rising dark pyramid that was once the mountain. They blare roaring jubilation from their ships, howling at the desecration of the Qugu mountain. As the Hive descend upon Seht, Tikal orders a retreat. Frozen in extinguishing fear, in the silent scream of sacrilegious abandonment, in the paralytic end, the Qugu leave what remains of Seht to the Hive. So this ship arrives at his most likely Savathun's. It mentions cunning, and its description perfectly matches hers. And in the Books of Sorrow, it told us that Savathun and her broods obliterated the Qugu from Jawbeast, and indeed from existence. So the Hive and Savathun's forces invade, attack the Qugu, and a pyramid which was their mountain raises from the surface. So the sacred mountain is destroyed, and it seems this pyramid either was the mountain or was inside it, possibly explaining the Qugu's connection to darkness and consciousness. At this point though, Seht was completely lost. Tikal orders a retreat to those who can make it out alive and escape the Hive's desecration. Tikal guides what remains of the Qugu toward the last operational jump gate to their safe star. This portal was their last hope, teleport elsewhere and try and save their species. Instead, when they went through and appeared on the other side, what did they find? A Hive army waiting for them. They did not find the last Qugu star of Seotan, but instead a wall of Hive tomb ships surrounding their bone-white flagship. In the shadow of the pyramid, Tikal grasps the fleet through the command sleeve and rallies their captains and battle groups into defensive murmurations around the remaining Ark ship. Fusion beams cut in every direction. Hive rippers pierce Qugu warships and combat sleeves like screaming needles. Behind them, the gate is nowhere to be seen. There is no tear, no exit through which to flee. Before them, the Hive ships outnumber their fleet hundreds to one. A strange realm mirror of reality encompasses them. Dozens of Hive ships fall, and countless rippers burn from every Qugu vessel lost, but attrition does not favor them. Tikal holds the fleet against the horror of the hive, but their strength wanes. Tikal wades through the silence of his ancestors' fear. Suddenly, a dreaded pillar of darkness, another hive ship, tears through the nothing of space and bursts into the fray, crashing through several tomb ships and dashing them against its hull. Hive ships turn to confront it as it barrels directly for their Bone Ring flagship. The two massive vessels exchange destructive barrages of fire, decimating all other surrounding ships in thundering bombardments of soulfire cannons and axion bolts. The pillar ship emits a thin pulse, as the dark pyramid had done as it burst forth from the mountain of Seht. The pulse slices through the ring ship like a cleaver, waves of green fire erupting through its hull. Tikal, seizing the moment, capitalizes on the destruction. They draw in all remaining Qugu vessels and press forward toward the pyramid. Tikal communicates their intention to the fleet and maneuvers them into a valiant charge. If they could not destroy the hive, they would take back the mountain. Tikal places themselves at the point of assault. Qugu's ships snap into formation behind them. Tikal draws the entirety of the fleet into concert to hear their voice. Their words impel the charge into being. For Seht. The armada surges, agile combat sleeves racing ahead to clear a path for the larger hosts of ships. Tikal feels the presence of the Qugu line extending back to the first. They move as one, weaving between ship fire and debris. Tikal closes their eyes to feel the fleet through the tension of their link. Tikal reaches beyond them, to the Death Grove cores of the Ark ships, to their ancestral line. To those whose memories they can carry with them, the darkness that binds them resonates through the fleet. Tikal flexes their tendrils and commands the deployment of all drones in attack mode. The Qugu collapse to form a phalanx and drive forward to impale the cursed thing that was their mountain. Tikal calls to their ancestors, drawing their energy from the Ark ships and into the fleet, fusing the beam with ancient power. Guide our fire. The darkness-linked fury of generations turns the beam resonant. It strikes true, impaling the pyramid's obscene hull in a fatal wound, their final stand forever branded into the pyramid's flesh. The hive battle falls silent, a flash of orange. With the pyramid's dying wail, Tikal feels the presence of their ancestors, not as a distant guide, but as equals. The resonance wave washes over them, and Tikal hears voices as if echoing from a dream. Noble commander, do not fade. Take our hand and find salvation. They see the line of their people extend through them, through all Qugu, through darkness and death and memory, all swept into an obliterating echo, and then nothing. They extinguish together. So the Qugu in one final effort damage the pyramid that was their mountain, channeling all this energy from the ancestors and muster up one last attack, damaging the pyramid but extinguishing their entire fleet and species in the process. So it does make me wonder, we have Savathûn ships there at first and then the pyramid and another hive ship comes crashing in. Now I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but that may have been Oryx's dreadnought or one of Oryx's ships. Because in the card from the Books of Sorrow, the same one where it mentions Savathûn destroying the Qugu, it says this: I killed my sister today. She came to this star to oversee the extermination of all life here. The Qugu are a strong power, and their fleets protect 4 nearby stars. As herd animals, they are loyal and stubborn, but they do not show grace. He says that Savathûn destroyed the Qugu, but as she chased the Qugu Ark ships, I, Oryx, stopped in to vaporize my sister's warship and a few other underlings. The most interesting part is that end line though. It does mention that all these Qugu and their memories are swept up into one obliterating echo. As we've learned from Ikora, the echoes seem to be comprised of all the dead civilizations and memories that the Witness and its forces have destroyed, coalesced into some physical aspect of power thanks to the Traveler's terraformation capabilities. So it may not be a coincidence that we get the story of these Qugu here and now in the Dynasty lorebook. They might be a part of one of these echoes we encounter in Revenant or Heresy. I'm not sure if they'd have some huge impact on the story and guiding, either Fikrul or somebody else on the Hive ship to do something, or if it's just a cool lore connection, but it's there nonetheless.
That's where this echo comes from. At least, that's our theory. Reports from the Pale Heart. Readings on the valence emanating from the Traveler. Everything we faced when we stared down the Witness and broke its fleet. At first, we didn't know what to call them, but echoes seemed apt. Memories from the victims of the pyramids, held by the darkness. Then coalesced by the light, into artifacts as sharp and fatal as their pain. If darkness is memory, and light is form, what else could they be? But there's still so much we don't know. Is this the only one? What forgotten people gave form to this echo? What was their final cry at their end? For control? A means to turn back their oppressors? My Hidden will keep searching for whatever answers the Witness's death can give us.
Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. An expanded story of the Qugu and how they were destroyed by forces of darkness and the Hive. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.